Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad ANIQ ANAQI bin Farud Azwan. My matric number is MA21128, section 02. Okay, before I start, may I tell you what is my topic? My topic is about motorcycles. Okay. This is my table of content, which is first introduction, second history of motorcycles, third is popular motorcycles brands in Malaysia, fourth component motorcycles related to engineering, and the last one is the conclusion. Okay, we go to introduction first. Okay, introduction. Machine used to transport people from one place to another place. So that does not have four wheels like a car, but it has two wheels like a bicycle. But motorcycles has a motor like a car. A motorcycle usually drive by one person. A passenger can also ride on the back of motorcycles. In 91, the first successful motorcycle was made by Indian Motorcycles in Springfield, Massachusetts. Since then, many other companies have to make them. Major manufacturers include Honda, Suzuki, and Yamaha. Since the motorcycles can be lighter than the car, so they can accelerate more quickly. In a poor country, motorcycles are used by many as a cheaper methods of transportation. Many people who do not have the money to buy a car, so they can buy a small motorcycles. But in a rich country, large powerful motorcycles are used for as their hobby or their sports. Today we can see motorcycles have a lot of sports. Okay, next is history of motorcycles. Okay, the first of all, steam-powered bicycle, 1867 to 1881. Sylvester Howard Roper from the America was an inventor of a steam-powered two-cylinder of velocipedes. This was essentially an early form of bicycles, but more importantly, that is the first steam-powered one. So Roper designed the considered motorcycle because it has two wheels and a cool fire steam engine. Okay, after that, motorcycles developed to be a gas engine motorcycles. In 1885, two German inventors, which is the Gottlieb Medler and Wilhelm Mech, managed to produce the first with a gasoline internal combustion engine. It was the first time anyone was able to combine the bicycle bikes with a gas power engine. So they received help from the engineer by a name Nicholas Otto, which is he created the first four-stroke internal combustion engine. After I will show you a little bit documentary about the gas engine motorcycles.
Accepted motorcycle, powered by a gasoline engine, was born in 1886, thanks to German engineers Gottlieb Daimler and William Maybach. These are the sparks behind present-day automobile superpower Daimler AG, the parent company of Mercedes-Benz and Maybach. This marks the spot in history that the gas-powered engine and the motorcycle collided, generally attributing the Daimler Riad wagon as the first true motorcycle. Daimler used the first ever developed four-stroke internal combustion engine released in 1876 to power his new motorcycle. The engine was developed by engineer Nicholas Otto, a former employee who named it the Otto cycle engine. This early iteration of the modern motorcycle included a primitive but first ever two-speed transmission and the inclusion of the newly invented inflatable tires to help absorb the pain of bumpy roads. While
motorcycles more developed on the 1864 to the 1903. A German company called Hildebrands and Wolfmuller became the first to create the factory produce a line of to create these motorcycles and make the name by their product more clearly as is the motorcycles. Okay, after that, motorcycles used in a World War at the 1914 and to the 1950. So the first World War began in the 1940. Europe and the American armies began to integrate motorcycle into the army as a means of the carrying message to a front base quickly. So after the Second World War, motorcycle sales become more increased. This is because the large number of veterans return home after have ride these motorcycles during the war. So motorcycles after the war, motorcycles become the one primary resource of transport in Asia, especially in Malaysia. Okay, next.
While most bike designs were isolated to France and Germany at the time, the Brits and Americans were quick to catch up as the 20th century rolled on. Motorcycle manufacturers began popping up on both sides of the pond. The single-cylinder, single-speed transmission model was most prevalent, but the evolution of the motorcycle wasn't slowed by the inabilities of the creators.
Development of the motorcycles nowadays, 1960 to the now. So Austrian company Croft, Reef and Track and Pulse create the first prototype of motorcycles, and Yamaha, Honda also emerged into the marketplace. So they want to provide, they could create motorcycles but advanced as the powerhouse American brands like Harley Davidson and Indian motorcycles. So today, motorcycles represent of the one the most affordable forms motorized transport on the public roads. The daily over 200 million motorcycles are used in the around the world. Okay, we go to development of motorcycle for the future. So for the future of motorcycles and the getting motorcycle industry are slowly getting closer into the point which is lead to the next big thing. It is two wheels universe. That is from hybrid motorcycles to fully electric power bikes, which is the option of innovation are endless for the motorcycle manufacturer. Okay. we go through the popular motorcycle in Malaysia. So there are 5 brands, popular brands motorcycle in Malaysia, which is Yamaha, Honda, Modenas, Benelli, and Kawasaki. Okay, the first is Yamaha. Okay, you can see that's logo of Yamaha. So Yamaha is a motorcycle manufacturer originally from the Japan. This brand are famous all over the world and among the best. So this brand are very synonym of motorcycle among the riders. So this company established since 1978. So Yamaha Japan enter into the joint with Hong Leong Bank to form the Yamaha Malaysia. So this company responsible of bring Yamaha into the Malaysia. So this company also handle and manage the motorcycle from the standards to the superbikes. So from this company, they produce the Yamaha Y13ZR, which is the best-selling models for the marketing Yamaha. So it is become like a phenomena and very famous through this country, which is Malaysia. Okay, second is Honda. Honda is also brand from the Japan's motorcycle manufacturer like Yamaha. So Honda also produce a car, but very totally different management with the motorcycles. So Honda Malaysia or company name which is Bongsu Honda, it starts bring in Honda brand since 1958. So where is the Bongsu is the founder of this company. So now there are many models have been brought into the Malaysia, such as Honda Wave, Honda AS5, Honda RS 150. So the motorcycle of Honda, very famous is the RS 150R, which is the best selling and hottest in a market. So indeed, Honda always been a competitor to Yamaha. Okay, next is Modenas. So Modenas is the Malaysian national motorcycle company. So this which is this produce a very small motorcycles model target for the local and export marketing to others country. So this company are located at a small town in Kedah, which so this company begin at the early 1990. So after the successful success of Malaysian automotive manufacturer Proton, so the government create and look forward to launch the motorcycles project. So Modenas was formed in 1995 and share where is held by Kawasaki, Southeast, Khazanah Negara and DRB Highcom. So this Modenas achieved 1 million units products and currently exporting it produced to 17 countries. So there are many products of Modenas that we can see at road, which is Chris, Jago, Charisma, and Dynamic. Okay, the fourth is the Benelli. Benelli is the Italian company, um, Coplain Italy, based in the city of Pesaro in Italy. So this company very old. Uh, very old. So since 2005, Benelli is owned by the Gian Motorcycling. So originally founded in 1911 in Pesaro. And the Benelli is the second oldest Italian model motorcycles company still in a business. So Benelli has just entered the motorcycle marketing in Malaysia. So I think that is Benelli not famous to the riders in Malaysia, but the famous model Benelli in Malaysia is Benelli RFS 150i, which is this motorcycle is durable and a large oil tank to allow the rider to carry for a long journey. So the rider can can ride the motorcycles at the long way. So next is Kawasaki. Last is Kawasaki. That is the logo of Kawasaki. So Kawasaki is another motorcycle brand originally from Japan. So there are three from the Japan, which is Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki. So Kawasaki Motor Malaysia, Sdn Bhd, is the company responsibility for bring Kawasaki motorcycle into the Malaysia since 1952. So Kawasaki is the most famous among the rider in the standard sports, event, and super bikes category. So we can see Kawasaki join the competitions. So one of the main reason why the rider choose the Kawasaki because the price Kawasaki model is more cheaper and affordable. So people in Malaysia can buy it and can use it. Okay, so we go to the component motorcycle related to engineering. So first is we can see carburetor. So carburetor is a device which help the mix fluid and the air together for facilitating internal combustion inside the internal combustion engine. So this device pass the mixture of fluid and to in the air to intake the manifold of the internal combustion engine. So this device so this device carburetor used to this by allowing air to the pass over the fluid surface. So the advanced version of carburetor is dispense the meter amount the fluid into the stream of air to achieve this purpose. So we can see that is the carburetor. Okay, second is motor brake. So motor brake is a type of brake designed to work with the motor to stop and hold the motorcycle and drive alone. So the function of this motor brake is to stop and hold the motorcycles. So how brake motorcycle works when we pitch off the brake pads. So bring them in contact with rotor, which is attached to the wheels. So the friction, the friction creates between the rotor and wheel slowly the motorcycles. Okay, so as we can see, there are two types of the motor brake. First is leaning brake. So leaning brake they are used for the old motorcycles like Honda S5. So the second is pad brake. So pad brakes always used on the super bikes and new model of motorcycles. So for me, I think pad brakes more functions than leaning brakes because pad brakes they has uh, more frictions between the leaning brakes. Okay, next motorcycle engine. Motorcycle engine are made up of piston of cycling block and a head that holds the valve the train. So motorcycles engine are typically they are two-stroke or four-stroke internal combustion, but another engine type such as a vehicle and electric motor has been used. So so this is the motorcycle engine. So at the motorcycle engine, there has a cylinder block. So which is cylinder block is the main function of cylinder block is the piston move. So that in the cylinder block there are have a pistons. So cylinder blocks is resistant to heat and high temperature as well as friction and heat delivery. So the engine has lubricant in the area of the line of the cylinder that comes into the direct contact with the piston to avoid wear on the linear cylinder. So next is cylinder head. So cylinder head is the serve as a cylinder hole cover and on the cylinder blocks are placed from the engine spark plug. So cylinder
After
head,
we see the
there are
component
really
of engine motorcycle,
fine
I will
that
share to
function
you
to help
how
to release
engine
heat
works.
on the engine and more familiarity known as the air conditioning. So in the cylinder, there are intake valve and exhaust valve. So as we can see, there are two valves on the cylinder head, which is exhaust valve and intake valve. Okay, next is the stator. Okay, the stator are one component of the system that generate the power of motorcycles. So it takes the existing mechanical motion of engine and create electric current. So the stator need a three component to generate electrical power, which is motion, magnet, and the coil of wires. So the stator coil of the wire housed inside the engine case, as we can see on this picture. So a magnet on the shaft spin within a stator, so create the alternating current, which is current AC. So that current travel along the very heavy to gauge wire through the case into the rectifier, which is convert it to the DC power and at the consistent output. So I okay.
Motorcycles of today are the true marvels of engineering. A basic model of inner parts of a typical motorcycle is shown here. In this video, we will explain the basic function of each of these parts in a motorcycle. Let's begin from how a motorcycle engine starts. All motorcycles have either a kickstarter or a self-starter or both. A kickstarter mechanism is simple yet interesting. As the kickstarter lever is descended, a helical spline forces the gear to slide and engage with a freewheeling gear on the main shaft. As the lever is descended further, the gear spins on its axis and transfers the power to the clutch hub. The clutch hub transfers the power to the crankshaft and eventually to the engine. In a self-starter system, a battery-powered motor provides initial spin to the engine. Once the engine is started, the starter motor has to be disengaged from the crankshaft to prevent damage due to excessive speed. This is achieved by using a one-way clutch. The model shown here is of a roller-type one-way clutch. It has an outer race and an inner race with small rollers. As the starter motor spins the outer race in one direction, the rollers get trapped between the surfaces and the power is transferred to the inner race and thus to the crankshaft. Once the inner race starts spinning faster than the outer race, the rollers get released, causing the inner race to spin freely. Like every four-stroke gasoline engine, motorcycle engines require a source of ignition to ignite the air-fuel mixture for power strokes. A spark plug is used for this purpose. The spark plug requires voltage in excess of 20,000 volts to fire properly. In this particular model, the voltage is obtained from the stator of the motorcycle, although a 12-volt battery may be used for the same purpose. The stator is a stationary coil of wires. The flywheel of the motorcycle has a set of permanent magnets which revolves around the stator and produces alternating current in the coils. Each output from the stator has different purposes, as shown here. The output for the ignition purpose is received from the exciter coil. This coil has a denser winding of thinner wire than the other coils to produce higher voltage for the ignition. This voltage is supplied to an electrical component known as the capacitive discharge ignition, or CDI unit. The connection for an AC CDI is shown here. The primary function of the CDI unit is to store electric charge and dump the stored charge when required. A capacitor inside the CDI unit stores the electric charge. Another component, known as a pickup coil, tells the CDI unit when to dump this charge. The pickup coil has a small magnet with a coil of wire around it. The flywheel has a small extrusion on its outer surface. As this extrusion approaches and passes the pickup coil, a small voltage is developed in the coil. This voltage is supplied to the CDI unit, which closes an electronic switch known as a silicon-controlled rectifier, or SCR. This will dump all the charge from the capacitor through the output of the CDI unit. To increase the voltage further, an ignition coil is used. The ignition coil is a step-up transformer which increases voltage up to 200 times the input voltage, which is sufficient to fire the spark plug. Several other factors contribute to the continuous operation of the engine. The intake and exhaust valves are controlled by using a timing chain, as shown here. As long as the engine is running, the crankshaft rotates and transfers power to the other components for proper operation. Single-cylinder engines generally use a counterbalance to reduce the vibration caused by unbalanced forces. The clutch helps in smooth transfer of power from the crankshaft to the transmission system. The transmission system helps in altering the speed and torque as per our requirement.
That is all for the component motorcycle related to engineering. And the last one is the conclusion. Okay, from the conclusion, arriving in the 21st century, we find that the motorcycle scene is bigger and broader and more diverse than ever. So technology has created a new degree positive social connection between the motorcycle culture. So, such as motorcycle helmet speakers allow to rider experience to contact with friends or family while keeping their focus on the road. So, okay, I hope for this industry of motorcycle, we continue to develop and improve about the safety of motorcycle. So, as we know, the safety is very important to us because it is our life. So when it's safe, so the rider are always in touch with what matter the most. So I think that's all for me. If you have any question, you can ask and or email me at ANIQ 456 Gmail, or you can contact me. So that's all for me. Thank you.